Welcome back to Previously Prohibited. I'm Jenin here with my co-host Melissa Whitty, and we have our second returning guest, Alon Mizrahi. He's an Israeli dissident. He's Jewish Israeli, but has been extremely vocal about what Israel has been doing since October 7th. As perhaps before that, actually, I didn't follow him before that, so he can say one way or the other. He also has the best eyebrows on the internet, as he reminded me. So. Welcome, Alon. We want to talk about all of the updates on Gaza, which unfortunately are not very good. Trump's sort of 180, giving us some hope, and then smashing it to bits yet again. So, welcome, Alon. Thank you so much for returning.
Hey, Jenin and Mel, happy to be with you. Yeah, happy to be with you again. Yeah.
Yes.
Who was the first returning guest?
Dave DeCamp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second is also good. Second is
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And if you gotta, Dave is antiwar.com, so I don't know. I would be happy to be in his company at all times. So, yeah, but we are so happy to have you back. Real quick, if you could, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share, comment. We read all of your comments. We really appreciate them. We appreciate your interaction, and we appreciate you guys sticking around, even when some of you get mad at us. Me more so than Jenin. And so, Alon, thank you so much for coming back. And let's talk about Trump's trip to the Middle East and then what transpired after, since then.
Yeah, I have so much to say about this, but I don't know how much of this is like political analysis, because I feel we're like constantly moving deeper and deeper into darkness, and like we've gone on. I mean, you say this is crazy. I mean, it can't be that people in power let things get this place, get this bad, and it can't be that they are this evil and incompetent and stupid, and then they prove you wrong and they become more stupid and evil. And this last week, it's like we really went into we've gone into a new dimension in all this, because there was especially with the Houthis thing. I mean, when Trump pulled out of the Middle East, and Israel was planning to attack Yemen, and then the attack got canceled. I think it was the U.S. that put the brakes on this attack. And there was a feeling that maybe Trump is actually the president of the U.S. And he was talking like a deal with Iran was imminent, which was another sign that he was potentially breaking with Netanyahu, because Israel wants this war at all costs. Netanyahu wants this war.
And then also normalizing relations with Saudi Arabia, right? That was the other kind of indicator.
Normalize relations with Saudi Arabia without demanding it normalizes with Israel over Palestine's head. I mean, over the heads of the Palestinians. Yeah. And so there were like a few real world signs that things may be becoming like saner, and maybe there's a beginning of going back to some sort of normal. But then there was this crazy spectacle of craziness with all the dancing women, the crazy speeches, the billions, the airplane. What is this? What is this? I mean, this is not like normal grown-up behavior. The world. I mean, you will never see Putin in a million years do anything like this, or Xi Jinping, for the Chinese president. This is uniquely Western and American, and Trump. And you could actually feel when Trump was over there in between Riyadh and Qatar, it's like something changed. So something changed in the atmosphere and became so, I don't know how to call it, demonic. Suddenly Trump was they changed the tone completely on an Iran deal, which is like the second big issue. I mean, the Holocaust in Palestine is the big, emotional thing. This is something we talk about. This is something that, kills us to see this day in, day out. But a war with Iran is the big thing on a geopolitical level. This is the big elephant in the room. And suddenly the Americans are walking back the things that they had agreed to. Like saying Iran is not going to be able to enrich uranium at all, which is a non-starter for Iran. Yeah. They won't agree to it. This is something the Americans know Iran won't accept. And suddenly they revert to this. And this is such a terrible sign, and changing the tune on Gaza as well, not trying to end the fighting and the genocide. And today was the final nail. I mean, this was just announced like an hour before we got started this stream. It was announced that Israel, Trump and Netanyahu agreed to resume the flow of aid into the Gaza Strip. But this was conditioned on Israel continuing the genocide, and as Israeli media reports on this, intensifying this what they call fighting or conflict or whatever. But so again, this is more sinister. This is taking us back into a no hope zone. This is how I feel. This is, and the combination of all of it. I mean, this new language with Iran and the way the Gaza Holocaust is being framed again as a conflict, and giving Israel more and more license and more time to go on with this endlessly. I feel that this is, and it's funny to say, I've been following this like almost every minute since October 7th, since Saturday morning of October 7th. This is the bleakest this has been. This is the bleakest, the worst. I mean, what they have done the past week, I mean, it went from dozens every day to hundreds. Now it's hundreds every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me,
no, go ahead.
I have to agree. This has been, I was actually out of town all weekend, so mercifully I was not glued to my phone for the last 72 hours, but, of course I had seen my phone. I think the buildup of the hope last week with, the speech in Riyadh, and then of course the speech in Riyadh, and then the transition over to what seemed like it was going to be a real deal with Iran and whatnot, and then to have that completely dashed after I don't know, what was it, 96 hours, 120 hours of real hope. And to see now, after what it started, I think it was on Friday night, was just the Operation Gideon's Chariot. Yeah. That it's just been awful.
Yeah.
I refuse to get my hopes up, because I don't have proof, but I think Trump does have the right instincts on these things for maybe the wrong reasons. Like, I think he doesn't really like to see destruction. He kind of likes to build. He doesn't like to destroy. He doesn't have strong Zionist ideological tendencies, but he's just too, he has too many people around him who do have very strong views. And I thought, you know what, even if this is what Trump is going to do, he's not going to be able to hold strong. I mean, there are people whose number one priority in their lives, and there are a lot of them, and they're very influential, is to make sure we go to war with Iran, that we eradicate the Palestinians, essentially. They are not going to let him do this.
I agree.
Yeah, what I felt was happening is and it's funny to talk about an American president this way, but someone let him like have fun with the idea that he can bring like reconciliation, peace, and open a new era in the Middle East. Someone let him fun with this, entertain himself, and then like someone stepped into his office and tell him, "Okay, done, enough. We are going to war, and you can't stop the genocide." And this is to me like the almost the saddest part of it, because again it is hard to lose all hope regarding a country like the US, like completely giving itself completely to evil and to insanity. This is not even like the usual cynical calculation of bombing places and making excuses and pretending to be about democracy. This is a new plane of evil.
Right. I think something that I kind of like struck on me when I was thinking about it the other day was why this was so depressing to me is that in some ways it's weird because I am one of these people. I'm like, America should worry about America. We can't solve all the world's problems, yada yada yada. But at the same time, we are the only country like us that we quote unquote try to, or at least we say we try to solve other people's problems. I don't actually think we've ever solved anyone else's problems, but there's no one else coming, right? China's not coming to save Gaza. Russia's not coming to save them. No one else is coming to save. And so for me, like just to watch the redaction and the kind of walking back of everything that happened last week over the last 2 days, it has been so unbelievably depressing. And then to hear the stories coming out of Gaza, especially the Indonesia hospital last night, where they were sending in drones and literally just shooting anything that moved, is so unbelievably fucking depressing and gut-wrenching that there's just no words. Like, what can you even say anymore,
I have to say about what Jenin said, and I agree with you about Trump. Trump never struck me as like a mass murderer type of crazy person. He's not this kind of person. He has sadism in him, but in a small way. It's always a little bit playful, a little bit in trying to put this in another context. He's not a serial murderer. This is not Trump. He can be cruel, he can be sadistic, he can be, I'm not trying to paint him like as a moral, righteous person, but he is not the type. And also, I would imagine, and I think I'm right about this, he doesn't want his presidency to be always in the shade of dead children. Always. This is not a good look. He's so bothered about looks, right, and appearance. And to always have this like on your feed, the feed of your presidency, look like this, and also to appear weak because you can't stop Netanyahu and the Jewish lobby. So this is weak, and this is at least participating or forced to participate in actual evil, that it's so disgusting to all of humanity. This is not something, this is not India, Pakistan going to war and people can argue who is like the right side, who is in the wrong. This is not even Russia and Ukraine, which people have strong convictions about. This is murdering children every single fucking day, all day. So I can't imagine Trump didn't run to be president again to allow this, to make this happen. This isn't his platform. But someone is taking him there. Someone is forcing him to do this, which he wouldn't choose to do of his own volition.
I agree with both of you, but at the same time, I'm so tired of these kind of excuses. Like, America needs a man to stand the fuck up, okay? And tell these people to go to hell, get the fuck out, this is not what's best for America. This is not what's best for my presidency. It's not what's best for the United States people. It's not what's best for anyone other than this very tiny group of people. And actually, we're not going to prioritize you over the rest of fucking humanity.
It's actually not even best for them in the long term.
Yeah,
I don't think they've thought it
nuts.
through, but I mean, I'm not excusing him. I just think that that's probably what's going on. That's my best guess.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys have thoughts on who it is, or if, I mean, it's probably more than one person. I suspect
it's more than one. I think it's a small but very powerful, influential group of Zionists. Most of them Jewish, but not all of them Jewish. They come down. You know, again, you got Mike Huckabee whispering in his ears that this is what the Christians want, you know. I mean, and that is a strong influence, and he did. That was a strategic, and I know that Mike Huckabee probably wasn't Trump's number one pick to be the ambassador, but he was a very smart pick for whoever suggested him, because he's the one whispering in Trump's ear all the time that this is what the Christians want too. You know, because you got to remember, Trump is just not a strong man of faith. I mean, you know.
But Trump doesn't have an election to win anymore. That's what I don't like. I understand he might be afraid of getting assassinated, so that seems like a real, you know, possibility. I mean, considering JFK and RFK were almost definitely assassinated in part by, you know, at least the
well,
Israelis
not in
were
part,
involved.
but we know that's who did it.
And then they, you know, planned to assassinate Truman and H.W. Bush. So, I mean, it's a legitimate fear.
Yeah, but this is the part I can't get, because as president of the U.S., you have almost limitless power to crush whoever you want to crush.
Yes.
I mean, Trump can end the Jewish lobby in a half hour. He directs the CIA to go and arrest 10 Israeli spies in Washington, and this is it, and that's it. It's over the same day, and he announces everyone who helps them will be an enemy of the people and an enemy of the American state, and that's it. That would be it. It would be over in one evening if he really wanted to do it. And he has the CIA. He can eavesdrop on anyone. You can't blackmail an American president. This is nonsense to me. Something is going on, and we can't explain it. And this is part of why we're so depressed, because none of this makes sense. I mean, people wanted to expand into new territories before, and people did evil things before, but doing something this evil for such a long time and persisting to go on doing this in defiance of every human instinct and all of international community and every person watching this, and to go on, and for the U.S. to give in to this. I mean, the U.S. never agreed in history to. Israel tried to do this. Famously, Reagan told Begin, "You need to stop this Holocaust right now. This is an actual part of history. You stop this Holocaust right now." And he slammed the phone, and Begin ordered to. They bombarded Beirut. It was crazy. My father told me about it because he was in reserve service then. He told me, I've never seen anything like it. It was crazy. They killed like 50,000 people. They destroyed parts of Beirut in 1992, but Reagan stopped it with one phone call. But I think that while we don't have like the full explanation how this is possible. And we should say it. We don't know how this is possible. This doesn't make sense. I think that the license that Israel was given, Israel and the Jewish lobby and the Israel lobby, all of them, to infiltrate and become like another arm, another organ of the system of government in the U.S. Because you have the executive, the judiciary, the legislative, and the Israel lobby. Yeah. It's like this. I mean, and they are part of the. I mean, you cannot run any American agency and risk angering the Jewish lobby and or the Israel lobby. Whatever decision you make about anything, I mean, this is nuts. You cannot run a country like this.
Yes.
You cannot
Yes.
you cannot run a country when you say this group of people, there's everyone in this world, and this group of people are never held accountable for anything, and they can go in and out and be anywhere. I mean, how can you run any American agency like this when there are some people who are like ex territory for you? You can't say anything about them. So everyone has to like think 5 times before they do make any. So this made Israel and all of those people in these lobby groups more and more brazen, because they were given more and more leeway in Washington, in the White House. They can do what the fuck they want.
Yeah, and something else too, you know, and I think about this all the time. You know, when October 7th happened, we heard over and over again, this was the biggest attack on Jews, not Israel, not the state of Israel, but this was the greatest attack on Jews since the Holocaust, right? So if you attack Israel, you attack Jews, right?
Yeah,
okay, that's fine. But if the state of Israel does something, no, it can never be reflective on Jews, right? Then all of a sudden now everybody must be judged on their own individual actions, and nothing can be collectively assigned or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so that is a very unique power that is held among just them, right? So me, I'm like, okay, that's fine. If you guys want to pull this card where an attack on Israel is an attack on all Jews, well, then that means an action of Israel is, in fact, an action on behalf of all Jews, right? But no, they want to have their cake and eat it too, and so that's why we have zero accountability whatsoever. Me, I'm of the opinion that an attack on Israel is an attack on Israel, the state, right? And the state is responsible, and when the state does something, then again the state is responsible. But no, it's actually not. If you attack Israel, no, you're not, you know, attacking some Jew out in, I don't know, North Dakota or Ithaca, New York or something like that. Those two things are totally separate. They don't mean anything. But no, we see where that power is derived, where sometimes it's all in one, and then when the consequences come, then we have to hold each one individually responsible at all times. And then, of course, there's no accountability whatsoever.
That's an excellent point you're making, Mel, because no one would think about saying Italy doesn't represent Italians. Right?
Yeah.
Romania doesn't represent Romanians. The US doesn't represent Americans.
Right.
Are you serious?
Right.
How is the
Right.
Jewish state not representing Jews?
If you have, I think if you
How is
have,
this possible?
right, if you have citizenship, now I would never hold a Jewish person who did not have citizenship with Israel, I would not hold them responsible. And I probably, even if they did have citizenship and they lived in the US, I wouldn't hold them responsible for the actions. But if you live in Israel, I actually do hold you accountable, right? To a certain extent. Again, I don't believe that we should attack civilians at all. I don't actually subscribe to that whatsoever. But the idea that there shouldn't be no reflection, you know, I expect the world to judge me on the actions of my government, right? And I think that there should be negative consequences if my government is acting immorally, right? Whether it's a boycott, whether it's, I don't know, I get rude stares and whatnot.
Isn't that exactly the argument the other side makes, though, that the Palestinians should be held accountable for what Hamas does?
But here's the thing, I'm talking about
Hamas isn't elected, I know, but
well, no, but I'm not talking about. I would never advocate for a wholesale bombing of the state of Israel. I still wouldn't, even after all of this time. No, because again, I think we should hold the government officials responsible, but I still would not collectively hold them accountable with violence. I just wouldn't.
Right.
But at the same time, like, do I think we should be able to boycott Israel? Absolutely.
Well,
100%. Do I actually think that Israelis deserve a little bit of scorn and shunning in the world? Yeah, actually I do. And I think that Americans, to a certain extent, deserve to be kind of shunned for our government's support of this genocide. Our government is the one that has supplied all of the bombs. If I go to Ireland and people are pissed off at me and want to yell at me, I get it. That's just me, though.
Yeah, and because you mentioned this, I mean, Jewish identity is such a strong part of everything we're talking about, but we are not allowed to talk about this for some reason. This is like taboo.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, they tell you this informs policy, this informs everything, everything derives from Jewish identity and Jews and Jewish and all this, but you cannot talk about this. But I'm going to add something to what you said. This is like the explosive part of it, because since Israel was established, what happened was, since Zionism began as a movement, I mean, if you look at Jews, at American Jews, if you look at everyone else who came to America, I mean, where did your grandparents came from?
Me, Germany, and Great Britain.
It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
It's not important. The only group that sticks to its old identity are the Jews, are Jewish people in America. Everyone else becomes American. Italians become, after 2 or 3 generations, they do not maintain a separate political identity.
Right.
American Italians don't identify with Italy. Italy is a motherland in a cultural sense, in a nostalgic way. It's the grandmother or sister and it's okay. But you cannot maintain this a separate political identity. And this is nuts that the US allowed this, and this is nuts. I mean, this is how Zionism legitimizes this talk of a double identity, because double loyalty. And now this has become something that is declared, but you must not criticize.
Yeah.
How can it be that you're, and I would say it for everyone, it's not just, I mean, I see it from my point of view, I see it as a terrible risk and miscalculation. Because the idea was we want Jews to live everywhere, anywhere, like everyone else, and not have anything special and unique about them. We wanted to neutralize this. But this connection with Israel, that it's not only the US, I mean, British Jews, Zionist British Jews are the same. So they have to always work for Israel and identify with Israel and commit to whatever Israel is doing, even when it is. I mean, if the US was doing what Israel is doing in another place, the Jewish community would be on the front lines of the demonstrations against the US conduct.
Yep.
They would be, and all the Jewish centers in New York, in California, they would be demonstrating all the time. Mm-hmm. But since Israel is doing it, by the stupidity of how they conceptualize their own identity, they cannot participate, and they would try to censor you if you try to participate. And not only that, they are censoring Jews who want to protest and say, this is wrong, you can't do this in my name.
Well, there is a big difference between the generations, I think. I mean, the younger generations, I don't think this is necessarily true of, but the older, I mean, I would say under 40, right?
Listen, I'm so, I mean, everybody says that, and this is not, but this gets me so angry.
Really?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because we haven't seen such meek and useless and impotent young people as we do today. We have never seen this in the history of the world. I mean, the whole campus protest, this fucking kills me. They're acting as if what the government is trying to do to them, what the bad thing that the government is doing, is trying to forbid Palestinian identity on campus. But this is not the struggle. The struggle is the war and the genocide. They
were protesting against the war. The protests all got shut down.
And why are you protesting on campus? and
Well,
isolating yourself from the street where things are happening, from the embassies, from the symbols of power. Why are you? This is trying to avoid. This is this. I don't know if the Z generation or younger. They cannot be in contact with reality. They need to have some kind of mediation, isolation, earphones, something to shield them from reality. This is what we see now. They are not trying to stop the genocide. They are trying to reaffirm their own identity as people who oppose this thing, but only on a symbolic level. This drives me nuts.
So for me, it's funny. I've been watching the documentary on Netflix about the Vietnam War. Very good. Would recommend it. I mean, only on the first episode, but they show a lot of clips. And I think, when we compare it to the Vietnam War, it is different in that Americans were being, they were being drafted into the war, right? They were being drafted to go serve into a war that they did not believe in. And so, did we lose you, Alan? Okay, there we go. And so I do think it's a little, I think it's a little different, but I do agree with you, because when you see the videos of the Vietnam War protests, they were so intense, and these people were not giving up. And it's not to come down on the kids. I know they're sacrificing a lot, and I certainly don't want to spit in their faces. A lot of them have given up a lot. Absolutely. And I have a lot of respect for them. It's so wild to see how, especially we look at the kid from NYU, right, who gave the speech over the last weekend, and now his degree is being withheld. And his speech was so it was a good speech, but it was a little bit milquetoast, right? He never said the word Israel. He never, of course, didn't say the word Jews or anything like that. He simply just stood up and said genocide is bad, and I can't stand here with my podium and not comment on the genocide of the Palestinian people. And still, it was so mild, and it was good. God bless him. Good on him. I thought it was really brave, and he moved me with his words, certainly. But again, what are they doing? They're probably going to hold his diploma for 6 months. So they're going to screw him over in his life for 6 months for simply saying genocide is bad, And so to me, we should, as a country, say, fuck you, NYEU. And I apologize that I've said the F word 5 times now. But we should say that, and there should be a punishment on NYU, right? Because again, nothing he said should have been controversial at all. Obviously, these people are being murdered in mass, and people should be able to stand up and advocate for them, right?
I saw I wanted to talk about this in a video of my own, but since you brought it up, I'm gonna talk about this here. This was terrible to me. That speech that this young man made, because his voice was quivering, and he was anxious.
He was nervous.
No,
Yeah.
but this is why we're fucked. This is exactly why we're fucked. This is it, because if you cannot accuse someone of murdering children with confidence and conviction and rage, you're not in the game of.
I don't know. When I was 22, I couldn't talk to a room of people without my voice shaking. I was just nervous about talking to a room of people. I don't know.
Yeah,
and look what they're destroying. I mean, they have successfully destroyed many of these people's lives. They're looking at what's happening around them. I mean, none of us want that to happen to us, as horrible as everything is. But
this is what I'm saying. This is acting as if this is a game and not reality. If any of us now saw a child in a burning building, we wouldn't say, I'm going to post an Instagram of myself being very worried about this. You go into the fire and you risk yourself, and you do what's necessary, and this is the situation we're facing, but no one seems to get it. And the pathetic protest movement in the US only makes things worse. Because they're creating the impression that things are not urgent. They should be welcoming the police attacking them. Go when you will disrupt, and you become a problem, and force the system to show its true face. And don't protest on campus and have the campus police throw you out and bring you in and say, what is this? What is this? It's not getting the severity of the moment.
I agree that I think a lot of the campus protests are very symbolic, and they are and a lot of times they're just counterproductive. They don't attack the correct things. I don't think they focus on the right things. A lot of them are very, very nervous to identify the real problem, which of course is Zionism, and it is in fact Jewish supremacy. Right? Nobody wants to say the word Jew, obviously, but you cannot separate those two things. That's not to say, of course, that all Jews are Zionists, and we know that there are strong voices in the anti-Zionist community that are, in fact, Jewish, but at the same time, there is so much power, so much strength, so much money coming in that does come in from the, in fact, Jewish lobby, which, of course, you, Alon, have identified as well, and I appreciate that you're not afraid to identify that this is where it comes from. If it was white supremacy, if it was Christian supremacy, no one would have an issue calling any of that out. Everybody would attack it like, it would be like red meat and thrown in the water, but people get nervous, they get scared, and I get it. There is a lot of history there. I'm not trying to attack people for being quote-unquote weak or whatnot, but some of the stuff is they want to tie it in. They want to make it about white supremacy, right? Because everyone's really comfortable identifying and attacking white supremacy, and I get that. It's very familiar water. It's the big bad guy. It's an easy enemy to identify. But so a lot of times these protests are just not effective, in my opinion, anyways.
But I have to add to this. I mean, for me, identifying this as Jewish is not the end of the discussion. This is not saying this is the beginning of the discussion. How is this happening? What in Jewish narratives? What have we been doing that led us to this terrible place? This is not just to blame and walk away with like. This is not the idea for me, but what I'm not seeing, and there are so many elements and so many reasons to be depressed, but I haven't seen one American, seriously, one American, who stands up and says, I demand that my country stops arming Israel, and I demand it as an American citizen. And
I think we all say that. But
I say that.
But it doesn't
regularly.
matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not like the government's going to listen to us.
No, this is. I'm sorry to be harsh, but when people go against the majority, when people go against hegemony, this is always this is a stage you have to go through. They ignore you, but it doesn't mean you quit. You increase. You do more. You do more. This is the disconnect. This is, I think, the sad thing that happened to all of us, to all of Western society. We have been.
I've been saying that
as people.
I think we've all been saying the thing is I don't think it matters. Like, as I think we identified earlier, I'm not saying we should stop, but I think there are some very dark forces that are extremely powerful, and it doesn't matter at all what we do or say. And I think that's why we're all so depressed. That's why I barely have words, because I'm just
right. And I also think that you can start it at Jewish supremacy, right? But it actually is bigger than that, right? Because I know a lot of people will say, well, they think that Christian Zionism is kind of this sideshow. It's kind of this like side freak show. And to a certain extent, I kind of agree, but there is power in that. There is a lot of influence in those numbers. And if nothing else, the numbers of those people, they do give the senators who have been bought off by AIPAC, they give them confidence to continue acting in the way that they do. This is not simply just a like Jewish supremacy problem. We do have probably about a 30 million Christian Zionism problem as well, and this is a whole different cult, and it's weird because they don't actually have any other political power aside from this, but when they want to flex their muscle on this particular issue, it is wild how effective they are. And so but again, yeah, like I don't know, and I agree with you, and I get it. I don't have much power. I've got 125,000 followers on Twitter, and I just don't ever shut up about it, even though people ask me all the time to shut up about it. But,
I don't think anything any of us does.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to try to blame like the weakest people, like the college students, but this is not. I don't think it matters if Trump can't stand up to them. Like, I don't.
I disagree, though. I disagree. We have power. We do. We have power in our platforms. We have shifted the narrative way more than we have ever could have.
But that
ever
hasn't
imagined.
saved a single person in Gaza. I don't think it saved a single person in Gaza.
I agree. But you know, I don't want to
let alone talk.
Yeah, sorry.
During the Vietnam War, Muhammad Ali said in real time, when people were being drafted, when the thing was going on, he said, the white man is not going to send me to kill Vietnamese people, and all this. He said things explicitly and openly. He called it, and he wasn't alone, but he was alone. And this is what I mean by we don't see this kind of opposition. And this power comes not from the numbers of people. It comes from conviction.
Right.
It comes from moral conviction. This is wrong, and what you're doing is wrong.
But there are
no,
Yeah, good.
no, I don't see it.
There are so many people on Twitter who are like, you can tell, like us, like day and night tormented by this, but they don't know what else to do. And like Vietnam was different because people could refuse to serve. You had something you could do. The only thing I guess we could do is like not pay taxes, but all that's going to happen is they're going to put us in jail. So
right. Well, Muhammad Ali was famous and he went to prison. Right. So it's a little different, and he was able.
Where is the Ali of our times?
Right. Well, the other thing I think, and I think Jenin is right, is that there is no draft, and so even though we have had people stand up, you know, I mean, God bless him, Theo Von of all people he has featured several dissidents to the war, but he also just randomly will talk about the suffering of Palestinian children and give voice to them. You have people like Miss Rachel, again, who gives voice to children.
Hamas supporter.
Don't get me started. You know, she gives voices, and she has a huge platform, and she reaches it's wild because she reaches just as many people as Muhammad Ali, right? But again, she's not being subjected to a draft, so her sacrifice won't be counted.
I have to go insisting because this bothers me a lot, and I have to be like a pain in the ass with this. What they're doing, Theo, and even Joe Rogan, right?
He's different. He's different.
But what they're doing, they are trying to defend. They're trying to say, look, they are suffering. Look, this is awful. What I'm talking about is different. What I'm talking about is standing as an accuser. Standing as an accuser. You are evil. What you're doing is evil. You are a child murderer.
Right.
This is what I'm talking about.
Ben Cohen from... That's exactly what Ben Cohen from Ben and Jerry's just did.
But even he doesn't go. He only goes against Americans, and we saw that with Bernie Sanders as well.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders will call out the American empire, and I posted about this the other day. He will call out the American empire all day long, but he will not call out Israel as a state.
I don't know that that's true. It made sense because he was in Congress. So what he was doing was saying, you guys are, you guys are complicit. He wasn't in the Knesset. Maybe if he was in the Knesset, he would have said what you guys are doing.
Right, but he could travel there. I do see this a lot where
he
people
probably
want to.
can't. He probably can't travel there anymore.
Well, I see this where people want to. Everybody's comfortable. Again, like I said, everybody's comfortable attacking white supremacy. Everyone's comfortable attacking America.
Exactly. This
But
is what
nobody's
I'm talking about.
but nobody's comfortable attacking Jewish supremacy or the state of Israel.
I have to disagree with you guys. Sorry. So first of all, I'll attack those things, but this was just in my reply to Alex Berenson, so it's fresh in my mind. I focus my criticisms on America because it's my government. That's where, if I had any influence, that's where it would be. And without America's influence, as I think we all agree, Israel just couldn't do what it does. There is no chance I am going to sway Netanyahu. Zero. I probably can't sway my government either, but if enough Americans, do protest, perhaps that could lead to some change. But we're not going to have any influence on Netanyahu. So I think it makes sense for us to focus our efforts on our government's complicity.
I don't know. I think tarnishing the name of Israel actually does influence our government, because if you assign genocidal regime to the state of Israel, nobody wants to be associated with that. So
sure.
I do think that there is power.
But a lot of these people do that. I do that. I say things like the genocidal state of Israel all the time.
Yeah, but Bernie Sanders doesn't.
Well,
it's all Netanyahu.
Bernie Sanders is different. Yeah, and Bernie Sanders is different from Ben Cohen, because Ben Cohen actually did say.
Yeah. Sorry, Alan.
No.
Yeah. For me, I saw a very similar phenomena in Israel, with the Israeli liberal or left wing, or even semi-radical left wing. They would never. And this is such a huge problem, because when the discourse doesn't describe reality for what it is, you cannot sway people over to your side. When you're openly accusing someone of being evil publicly in front of people, have to think about it and make a choice. And you stand as someone who has confidence and represents something. But when we have this almost this compassion-based or charity-based or suffering-based discourse, to me, this only cements the role of the sadists in it, because they seem not only the one who killed the children, but the one who dictate how the discourse about it will go on. And this is the vicious circle we have to.
That's an excellent point. I agree with. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's frustrating, definitely. Now, let's move on real quick to Joe Biden has cancer.
I'm so sad.
I thought, Alan, you summed it up quite well when you said, "I wish aggressive cancers on all genociders."
Yeah.
To which I quote tweeted and said, "Same."
I saw both of yours, and I was like, I liked it, and then I was like, maybe I should unlike, because I'm not supposed to wish bad things on people. And then I was like, no, but if bad things happen to these people, then they won't be able to commit genocide anymore. So actually, it's okay. So then I liked it.
Nope. I will not. I had a couple people come try to tone police me. I assure you, you can maybe tone police me on a handful of things, but wishing, I assure you that is actually me being very kind to Joe Biden. The things that I think in my head.
What I wanted to initially say was cancer was diagnosed with Biden, but I went with the second one, and it's a success. And who can oppose this, right? Who would oppose terrible things for terrible people. I mean,
Who was it? You who said? Someone said something like, "I defend the right of Joe Biden's tumor to defend itself against." So
I think that was Caitlin Johnstone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, this gave us, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a sick comic relief in this terrible thing that we live through. But I mean, he's so old and irrelevant, and he's being irrelevant even while he was president. So this is no joy. I would be a lot more delighted if someone more relevant and more powerful got this cancer instead of Biden.
Well, I thought about it for a little bit, and with the prostate cancer, that's not actually like a sneaker cancer, all right? That's actually a pretty easy cancer to detect, and he's probably had it for quite some time. My guess is actually that he probably was diagnosed while he was in office, and they maybe tried some alternative treatments as opposed to chemotherapy, and you got to wonder sometimes if maybe that was the reason why he went along. I mean, that's me being extremely generous and just assuming he's not an actual demon, right? And so maybe they were able to hold that over him. Maybe there were decisions made by others while he was in fact in treatment for this cancer. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here. Obviously, we won't know, but I do know that prostate cancer is not something that just sneaks up on you one day and you pop up, especially when you were the president of the United States until about 4 months ago, and then you pop hot. That's just not something that really happens. And so I think that they've known about this for a while, so at best they were simply lying to the American people for probably years, and at worst, he actually handed off his duties to someone else, and that is actually who was committing the genocide in the last few years. Although Joe Biden is in fact a genocidal demon, and it's not like this is the first war he's ever overseen. We know what he did to Edward Snowden. We know how enthusiastic he was about so many other wars throughout the Middle East and, of course, in Ukraine as well. So it's not like I'm giving him a whole lot of benefit of the doubt here. But either way, he's gonna die with his family around him and probably, doped up on some kind of painkiller. He's not gonna feel anything. Good riddance is the best I can say.
I know, it's too bad it wasn't Netanyahu.
His will come. Yeah.
But since you brought up Biden, I think that the 4 years he spent in the White House, I mean, this, the things that tell you that things are not normal and reality is... How was this possible? How was this possible? How was this? I mean, forget the cancer. He was demented. I mean, completely for years.
Yeah.
He wasn't present. He wasn't functional. I mean, and no one talked about it. I mean, this kind of, and now they are writing books. They are publishing books about all the revelations. Are you serious? We saw it. We saw it in 2021.
Yeah.
Oh, we saw it in 2020, baby. I am of the opinion that Biden has at least 2 body doubles. I can identify them. I've tweeted about this many times. I am the village crazy lady after all. And no.
I know someone who thinks Jim Carrey is one of his body doubles.
Y'all, I'm gonna tag y'all in my next post about the head. Y'all got to see this video that I have where they took a video from 2010 and put it next to a video from 2020, and I'm telling y'all, it's not even the same head. Okay.
Maybe his head shrunk or something.
It's like a whole new head. I'm not even joking. And then I love it because after that, the disastrous debate, the one that actually ended up doing him in, the very next day he's out. And he gives a speech. It was here in North Carolina. It was up in Greensboro, and he's wearing the glasses. I don't know if you guys remember. He's always wearing those glasses. I swear that was like a sign of the body doubles, but, either way, he's not going to be with us much longer. He's an old man. He got to live a long time. He had a good life. I'm not going to shed a single tear over him whatsoever. Because of him, there are tens of thousands of children in Gaza who were, buried in infancy practically. And no, he does not deserve sympathy, empathy, tears, nothing. Throw some dirt on him and be done with it.
Well, I just remembered something. I was as you were talking, I was thinking about the October 7 and how Biden was reciting Israeli hasbara like crazy. Yeah. He said, I saw the dead babies. He said,
the beheaded babies. He saw the beheaded baby, the non-existent. Yeah.
And this was such a bad sign, such a bad omen, because this told you that something is really, really rotten. And this is part of the reason why we're here today.
Yep.
But also to finish this thought, 2 days ago, I think, when Trump gave this interview to this idiot from Fox, and he said, and he asked him, do you have any, not feud, I don't know what the word he said, with Netanyahu, are you angry, frustrated with him at all? And Trump said no, and this gave me like the chills.
Yeah.
Because he sounded like someone, I don't know, under a spell or being. This is like a horror movie. This
Do
is
you
like
think?
A horror movie.
Well, let me ask you.
I have to finish this. He said, Netanyahu. No, I'm not angry with him at all. Not frustrated with him at all. And we have to remember he went through October 7, and it was one of the most violent days in history. This is what Trump said, and he added, and this was the creepiest part. This tells me that we are about to face. This is just beginning, and this, what Trump said. He said it's all in the tapes.
Yeah.
He was referring to tapes from October 7. Today, in May 2025. So this tells you that their bad intentions, the things they are planning to do, are just horrifying. But the fact that he says that now, this I don't know.
You think that they had tapes that they showed the president that were different?
Come again?
Do you think they had special tapes that they showed the president? That's interesting.
Nothing is beyond them. Nothing is beyond them.
Yeah.
Do you think that if Biden had stopped it, that things would be better now? Or do you think that even if Biden had said, no, you can't do this, once Trump took office, they would have been like, okay, that's the green light. Trump's going to let us do it, and things would be bad now?
I think that if the Democrats stopped it, had they stopped it, Trump wouldn't be president.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the U.S. would have been in a completely different place. Yeah. But they and this is another. There are so many, like in the like serial killer movies where the detective is looking for him and he hangs all the pictures and items, and we are in this room with so many signs and indications of how fucked up things are. Because the Democrats knew that they were about to lose the election. Everybody was sick with them. I mean, this show of weakness, no one likes it. And people who were not Republicans are not like strong Democrats. People who are like, who may shift because there are like millions of Americans like this. When they were seeing this complete devotion to Netanyahu, this complete like surrender, this made them sick, and not to mention all the Palestinian and all the hardcore Democrats, all the radicals who are like the soul of the party. They kicked them out. So they knew they were going to, I think they suspected, if not really wanted, to lose the election and risk getting Trump, who was like the demon of demons. For years they brainwashed us to see him as the Hitler and whatnot. And still they chose to support the genocide and get Trump in the White House.
Yeah. Do you have, before we go, any words of hope for our audience?
Oh, man.
So I want to speak really quick about that. You know, I saw someone comment earlier, and I got so much crap last week for having hope in Trump doing right, and I did feel bad about that. I have struggled with this. You know, I've been very sympathetic to the Palestinian cause for since 2010, so I guess 15 years now. Obviously, been very involved since 2000 or since October 7th, but the Palestinian people have been putting up with this for 77 years, and they have not given up hope. Okay, so I will not be shamed for still having hope that someone could do right, right? Yeah. If the Palestinian people have not given up, then we cannot give up, right? And I know that it's frustrating. I know that we see it as Americans, and we've only been fighting it online and whatnot for 20 months and whatnot, but these people have been living this for 77 years, and they still have hope, and they're still good, and they still struggle against it. So no, we're not giving up hope. We're going to encourage the good, and we're going to push back against the bad, but we will not give up on it. That's my point. I wanted to make that. Okay.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, and thank you for it. And the word hope is difficult for me. I don't believe in hope. It's not a political word. Hope. It doesn't belong in a political discourse so much. Yeah. But part of the reason this genocide has been so triggering for me personally, I mean, for millions of people, I'm talking about from my point of view, was all the things it said about humanity, about our shared and collective experience, because some things that happen are so bad that you cannot go back to normal after this. This is not like, there are some things you can contain in any relationship. Some things can be shocking, but you can work through them. But there are things that happen that are too awful. It's like discovering that you live with a serial killer. Okay, it's not infidelity. It's something like someone doing, and this is part of the reason I think I've been trying to, I don't know, to get people to see and talk and try to influence stuff, because this is what I'm looking at, the meaning of this for people, for children, for all of us. I mean, because this is so awful that it makes the rest of our lives almost a joke. I mean, how can we talk about what's the point of having a lifeguard? No, seriously, what's the point of an ambulance rushing to a scene to save someone? What's the point of wearing safety gear? You don't care about life. I mean, this is a joke. So we want to try and teach our children to be compassionate, to be mindful of other people. How does it make sense? Are we lying to them? Are we lying to ourselves? I mean, I don't want to take it to the level of should we lose hope or not lose hope, but the implications, the psychological, philosophical implications of this are so horrendous. And my feeling is that the people who are doing this know this, and this is part of their motivation. This is part of the joy they get, destroying actually the fabric of what is human and what society is.
Yeah. When we talk about the struggle between good and evil all the time, and it is evil, it is pure evil, what has been allowed to happen, and the psychological war that it wages on all of us. And I know each one of us has this own battle that we have fought. Like you said, for me, it has been what America stands for. My whole life we were supposed to stand for the good and fight on the side of the weak and whatnot. And of course, that's all been blown up. It's been very hard for me as a patriotic person to watch my country stand behind something that is obviously antithetical to everything that we're supposed to stand for. So
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say because I feel so depressed. But thank you for coming on. Can you tell people where they can find you and your work?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, on Substack, and YouTube. Alon Mizrahi, the Mizrahi Perspective. This is my brand name. So come join my depression and sadness.
And
rebellion. I don't only do sadness, but I allow myself, and this is important, because this has been going on for a long time and may go on for a long time still. It's okay to feel sometimes broken and crushed. I mean, I not try to like paint it or get over it and all. No, we need to feel, because we have internet and we have streaming and we have podcast and all this, but the emotional reality of this, I mean, we haven't changed in a million years. We are the same creatures. So maybe this is a message of hope. Allow yourselves to experience the meaning of this.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Alon. And we will have you back a third time for sure.
Thank you both.